Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. You know we love to dig into a topic, and today we're taking on Chapter 1 of the Entrepreneur's Guide to Building a Successful Business. And we're going to figure out, together, do you have what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur?
Oh, I love this topic. So many people dream of starting a business, but very few actually make it work.
This chapter just jumps right in and lays down a gauntlet, doesn't it? You know, to be successful in business, you have to have the heart of an explorer and the mind of a business contractor, to quote them directly. Now, what do you think about that? Does that sound like you, listener? Do you have that thirst for adventure, that explorer's heart, but also the practical mind of someone who can plan and build and execute on those plans?
That is a brilliant way to put it. The heart of an explorer and the mind of a business contractor. And the chapter doesn't sugarcoat things either. It's very direct about the need to be comfortable with risk. You gotta love the unknown and be ready to put in some serious hours. They even mention like 65 to 85 hours a week sometimes.
Okay, whoa, hold on. That's a lot. Listener, are you prepared for that level of commitment? What are you willing to sacrifice to make your dream a reality? And what about risk? They keep coming back to risk. How do you handle setbacks, failures, challenges? Because you know those are inevitable. No entrepreneurial journey is a straight line to success.
Yeah, and that's where that rabid hatred of losing comes in. It mentions that in the chapter, right? It's not about being a sore loser, but about that deep down fire, that drive to overcome obstacles no matter what.
Right, that makes sense. It's not about sulking or getting defeated. It's about having that tenacity, that almost stubborn refusal to give up. But, I think that ties back into the mind of a business contractor too, right? It's not just about passion, it's also about strategy and planning and execution.
Oh, 100%. It's one thing to have a great idea. It's another thing entirely to bring that idea to life. It takes skills, financial planning, marketing, operational management, all the nitty-gritty details that keep a business running.
So listener, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not a numbers person, this chapter is like a wake-up call. You need to at least get comfortable with that stuff. You don't have to become a CPA. But you need to understand the basics or know where to find help.
Absolutely. And you have to be able to handle the naysayers, the doubters, the negativity that comes with putting yourself out there. The chapter actually gives some great advice on how to deal with that kind of negativity. One quote I love is, "Just because someone doesn't believe in you doesn't mean you can't succeed." Have you ever run into that, listener? People who didn't believe in your dreams?
I think we all have at some point. It's how you handle it that matters. Do you let it crush you, or do you use it as fuel?
The chapter even talks about turning that negativity into motivation. If you focus on what you want instead of what others deny you, it's a powerful way to look at things.
Yeah, to channel that negative energy into something positive. It's like using the wind to push you forward, even when it seems like it's blowing against you.
Exactly. Okay, but we've talked about the explorer's mindset, the contractor skills, but what about the WHY? Why do people become entrepreneurs in the first place?
Yeah. Why go through all this trouble? What's the driving force?
Well, this is where the chapter gets really interesting. It gives you a whole list of reasons. Freedom, autonomy, the desire to build something from nothing, passion for solving a problem. But I think it goes even deeper.
Deeper? You mean there's some sort of psychological need driving this?
Absolutely. A need for control, independence, self-expression. Entrepreneurship lets people shape their own destiny to create something that reflects their values and their passions.
So listener, if you're thinking about taking the plunge, ask yourself, what is it that's driving you? What's the fire in your belly that's pushing you towards this path?
It's got to be a strong motivation too, because let's be honest, it's not always going to be easy.
Well, that brings us to kind of a scary statistic, doesn't it? Up to 90% of new businesses fail within the first few years. Like, yikes, that's a lot of failure. It makes you stop and think, right?
It does. But the chapter isn't trying to scare anyone off. I think it's more about going in with your eyes wide open, being realistic.
And they give you the reasons why most businesses fail, right? It's not a mystery.
Right. It boils down to basically two things. One is lack of preparation, and the other is, well, I guess you could say the rewards just aren't worth the effort. But I think the chapter is trying to say that both of those are things you can control. You can prepare, and you can figure out if it's going to be worth it for you.
So let's dig into that. Preparation. Where do you even start?
It starts with research. You got to know your market inside and out. Who's your competition? Is your idea even feasible? You need real data, not just wishful thinking.
It's like that explorer we talked about, right? You don't just set off into the jungle without a map.
Yeah, exactly. And the chapter breaks down the types of research you should be doing too. Primary research, that's where you talk to potential customers directly. And secondary research, that's more about finding existing data and reports.
So like surveys, focus groups, industry reports, that kind of thing?
Exactly. And they even give you resources. Where to find this stuff? Industry publications, government statistics, online databases.
Wow. Okay, that's actually really helpful. So you're not just saying do research. They're giving you a roadmap for how to actually do it.
Right. Because it's better to figure out that your idea won't work before you invest a ton of time and money into it. And it's not just about proving your idea will work, it's about knowing who your competitors are. What are they doing well? What are they doing poorly? How can you differentiate yourself?
So finding your niche, that unique angle that sets you apart.
Yeah, and that goes back to that whole business contractor thing. It's strategic thinking, analyzing the market, figuring out your strategy.
Okay, but what about the second reason for failure? The rewards not being worth it. How do you know that beforehand?
Well, that's where it gets personal. You have to really think about what you're willing to sacrifice. Are you okay with long hours? Financial uncertainty, the possibility of failure, and what are the rewards that really matter to you? Is it money? Is it creative fulfillment? Is it making a difference?
Because those are the things that are going to keep you going when it gets tough, right?
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. This chapter really wants you to think about what success looks like for you. It might be different for everyone.
It's about setting your own goals and benchmarks, your own definition of success.
And that ties back into the heart of an explorer. It's about embarking on a journey that's meaningful to you, that aligns with your values.
It's about charting your own course, even if it's not the traditional path.
Exactly. That's where the real adventure lies, in the unknown, in the possibility of discovering something new, something no one else has done before. It's exciting, right? But you know something else that stood out to me in this chapter? They talk about testing your ideas and being willing to adapt. Like they say, negative results should be seen as an opportunity, not a threat. I love that. What do you think about that, listener?
It's like they're saying don't be afraid to fail, because even failures can teach you something.
Yeah, exactly. It's about having that growth mindset, right? Taking those setbacks and using them to refine your approach. And in the end, that's what's going to make you more successful.
Like our explorer friend again. You know, they hit a dead end. They don't just give up and go home. They figure out a way around it. They learn from it.
I love that analogy. It really fits. And you know, that ties back into that business contractor mindset too. It's about being able to pivot when you need to. Adjust your plans based on what you're learning.
So it's not just about sticking to the plan no matter what. It's about being flexible, being willing to change course.
And they give you practical tips for this too, like how to test your ideas, prototypes, pilot programs, getting feedback from potential customers early on.
Don't wait till you've invested everything to find out if people actually want what you're selling.
Right, that's the key. And don't be afraid to tweak things, to make changes based on what you're learning.
So it's a constant process, learning, testing, improving. It never really stops.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's a journey. You're always learning and growing, and hopefully creating something amazing along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The mindset, the motivations, the realities of entrepreneurship. But the big question remains, do you have what it takes?
This chapter really makes you think, doesn't it? It's not for everyone. It takes guts, resilience, a love of the unknown.
A heart of an explorer and a mind of a business contractor.
Exactly. But if you're prepared to put in the work, if you have a clear vision, if you're passionate about serving your customers well, then the sky's the limit.
So listener, after this deep dive, are you feeling fired up? Or maybe a little intimidated? Either way, that's okay. The important thing is to be honest with yourself. What are your goals? What are you willing to sacrifice?
And ultimately, only you can answer that big question. Is entrepreneurship the right path for you? We hope this deep dive has given you the tools and insights to make that decision.
And remember, no matter what path you choose, we're here to support you on your journey. Thanks for joining us.